Direct registration system. Will it cause MOAS? Origins of the DRS system. This is a letter sent to the SEC by Elizabeth M. Murphy, the Secretary of Securities and Exchange Commission. And this is a file number for the concept release on the U.S. proxy system. Regulatory division, market structure versus corporate governance. The focus on market structure, safety, and efficiency to the exclusion of government rights is clearly visible in the structure of the SEC. At least since the SEC performed its street name study in 1976, it has assigned the supervision of securities settlement structures to one division, market regulation, and the task of finding a cure for the shareholder communications problem to another division, corporate finance. For over 30 years, the Division of Corporate Finance tried to repair damage to shareholder communications caused by the recommendations of the Division of Market Regulation. An early expression of this bureaucratic schism is displayed in the conclusion of the street name study, which is very informative about what happens when a problem falls between the institutional cracks of a regulator. The governance advantages of a decentralized model that offers direct communication between issuer and shareholders are noted, but the SEC also observes that this introduction of such a model would not be a matter of proxy regulation, rather one of market structure. The TAD, or Transfer Agent Depository concept, exhibits promise as an important long-term alternative. It is not, however, a system for streamlining communications, but rather an approach to a national clearance and settlement system, which, as a byproduct, would improve issuer-shareholder communications. Development of TAD, therefore, must be integrated with other developments in clearance and settlement, with emphasis added. The Division of Market Regulation could have carried forward work on the TAD, which would have been beneficial for shareholder communications. However, it was extremely unlikely that a team of experts whose terms or reference focus on strengthening safety and efficiency would have diverted resources to consider a simple byproduct of a possible model, i.e., that the model could improve corporate governance, an area outside of their assigned task. As will be explained in the next section, when the Division of Market Regulation, now Markets and Trading, did respond to concerns of issuers about 20 years later by allowing the development of the DRS. It underestimated both the importance of communication issue and the interest of the brokerage industry, leaving direct registration a mere option embedded in the depository-based system, just like I brought up the other day. On the other side of the commission, the staff of the Division of Corporate Finance has made a brave but futile efforts for over 20 years, enacting and amending Rules 14A-3, 14A-16, 14B-1, and 14B-2, discussed in Part 3B above, to counteract the problems caused by market regulation measures, ordering, and mobilization. Let me try that one again. To counteract the problems caused by the market regulation measures, ordering, and mobilization. In this way, one division tugged towards depository control, while the other pulled towards corporate governance, apparently prevented by their particular division's mandates from overcoming the boundaries of institutional focus. Recently, however, this barrier seems to have been broken by seating proxy and settlement structure experts together at a recent roundtable discussion session at the SEC, and a 2010 concept release expressly examines the link between market structure and shareholder communications. Nevertheless, as discussed above, because most of the information provided on the settlement system comes from the entities whose business model is to profit from the system's negative externalities, in assessing the value of such information, we must evaluate whether such entities really do have an interest to maintain the current system and its negative impact on corporate governance. It's a too good to be true concept from the start, just like everything else. Nobody's enforcing the rules. We've all heard that before, right? From a very special somebody. So let's talk about brokers and banks both control and benefit from the current market structure. An industry which is crucial to the economy and which the interested parties have a de facto monopoly on both the market and information regarding their industry begs regulation. However, they have apparently been seen historically as neutral, disinterested, and trusted advisors of the regulators. This should end, with the negative effects of the current system falling on issuers and the benefits running to the owners of the system. This area presents significant conflicts of interest coupled with near complete control by market participants over system design. As Swartz and Franconi explain, issuers have little place in decision-making on stock exchange infrastructure. So therefore, this whole concept of MOAS being started by DRS is not possible because the issuers have no control over market infrastructure. So this is a DTC service, not going to happen. It can't happen, and you'll see why in a second. Historically, exchanges have been membership organizations, and for a membership organization, the answer is straightforward. The broker-dealer intermediaries, who are their members, are their primary customers. With a membership organization, the other two constituents, investors and the listed companies, are important primarily because they are critical for the profitability of the members. Nevertheless, the bottom line is, with a membership organization, the interest of the intermediaries always come first. Issuers have no control over the market infrastructure. Therefore, the intermediaries, aka the broker-dealers, you cannot get away from. Enter the stock exchanges. So the listing of the major stock exchanges that began in the late 1990s may gradually shift this balance of power as institutional investors take larger stakes in the market infrastructure and become aware of problems that the indirect holding system causes for shareholder communications and voting. However, issuers currently remain distant from decisions about the market's trading and settlement systems, and should be able to look to regulators to protect their interests. Yet, in the mid-1990s, broker-dealer control of the market infrastructure and absence of SEC protection led to the reversal of an issuer-driven project designed to restore transparency in shareholder communications. The project, a direct registration system, was turned into a service option of DTCC, to which DTC regulates access to and for which issuers now pay fees. The DRS project descended from the TAD system that was highly praised in 1971 and 1976 when market participants still considered immobilization as the temporary second best solution. It had been proposed in 1991 by a group co-chaired by the Securities Transfer Association and the American Society of Corporate Secretaries to offer investors an additional choice of security ownership in the form of an account statement so that their securities could be registered in their own name on the books of the issuer. And I believe this is exactly what Tim Brath was referring to. The main operational function of the DRS was and is to allow shares to be shuttled back and forth between the accounts of the transfer agent for registration and holding, where shareholder communications would be facilitated, and the depository or participant broker, where book entry transfer would be possible. In light of how embedded the depository system had become since the Exchange Act was amended in 1975 to impose immobilization, with Article 8 UCC being custom tailored to transferring claims to custody accounts, and the proxy rules have been bent around chains of intermediaries. It should come as no surprise that DTC and its owners, the broker-dealer community, took the position that an issuer-operated DRS was problematic. Of course it was problematic. So basically, they saw the problem coming, they could foresee it, and they took control of it from the get-go. Slobby on my lobby. You'll see. Although an initial design of DRS did become operational on November 11th, 1996, during the years that followed, brokers successfully lobbied the SEC to remove the system from its original concept of an issuer-driven restoration of transparent shareholder relations. In 1999, brokers and DTC argued that DRS should be integrated into DTC's profile modification system. Profile for communication purposes, the result of which subjected transfer agents to the supervision and approval of the DTC because they have become limited DTC participants in order to take part in the DRS. Brokers also argued that the system is, as designed, presented unreasonable delays in allowing shareholders to recover their shares out of direct registration and transfer them into the broker's accounts for trading purposes. So the whole idea of this causing MOAS is flawed because, number one, brokers will ultimately be the ones doing the trading, and the timing is going to be excruciating if you're looking to get things done quickly. Anyways, as the SEC explained, commenters representing primarily issuers and transfer agents support continuation of DRS as it is currently operating. These commenters contend that DRS as it is operating today, i.e. without profile, benefits the marketplace by providing shareholders with another option on how to hold their securities. Once transfer agents had to become limited participants of DTC and issuers had to meet DTC eligibility requirements in order to use DRS, the DRS system was subjected to DTC control, and the plan of a direct issuer-shareholder relationship independent of the central depository had been defeated. Yet, in the many published releases regarding the adoption of DRS, the SEC never indicated awareness of a conflicting interest that brokers may have in advocating a system design that promoted their centrality. In reaching its decision, the SEC merely concluded that making the profile modification system a prerequisite to DRS created a more efficient mechanism. No other considerations were introduced into a decision that subjected the issuers to approval and ongoing oversight of the depository as a limited participant. By 2006, DTCC already referred to the DRS as DTCC's Direct Registration System, where it remains today. Although since 2008, all issues listed on the NYSE and the NASDAQ stock market had to be eligible for inclusion in the DRS. It is unlikely that this requirement will lead to substantially more shareholder transparency. I agree. Like the depository system itself, the basic infrastructural design of the DRS will tend to perpetuate an intermediated lack of transparency. This is because DRS, in its essence, just a bridge between two mutually exclusive options, transparency and liquidity. In the DRS, uncertificated shares can be held transparently in databanks managed by transfer agents for issuers. But in order to be transferred, such shares must then be pulled into a broker's account where they are re-registered in the name of Seed & Co. so that a claim on a DTC account can be traded. The direct side of the DRS bridge thus offers little more than a parking lot for untransferable shares. If a shareholder wants liquidity, she must place the shares back in the name of Seed & Co., as each move back and forth will generate a fee for DTCC and the broker. Rational shareholders seeking to hold liquid shares have an incentive to avoid direct holding. If the shareholder wants liquidity, she must take the shares back in the name of Seed & Co., generating a fee for DTCC. Nobody creates MOAS except this mofo right here. This mofo has our back. These other idiots who are creating these concepts of creating MOAS have no idea what they're talking about. I'm not going to let them get to me anymore emotionally. I'm going to bring out facts, as I always have, and those people that disagree can get over it, because this is exactly what's going down. If you thought you were going to cause MOAS because reasons, think again. It will not happen.